Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. After one prospect, Oscar Mercado, hit 2 home runs last night to help beat the Tigers, another one, Bobby Bradley, the big left-handed hitter, was sent back to Columbus. For weeks, fans have been begging the Indians to bring him up, and now you can see the team was right in waiting because, frankly, he wasn't ready. 15 hits and 49 at-bats and only 1 home run. The Indians aren't ready to throw in the towel on Bradley or on the American League Central crown, and Bradley probably will be back. But the games are too important right now for experiments. Unfortunately, Bradley got in the way. Bud Shaw will get in the way tonight. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine on a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 23rd year, soon to be 24, and seen exclusively on cleveland.com. But before we continue on, I'd just like to say that I misquoted myself.
Charles Barkley said he did that in a book.
And his autobiography?
Yeah, he was misquoted in his own autobiography.
I totally botched up Bobby Bradley's stats. I said he was 16 for 51. Close. He was 8 for 45.
Yeah. So I see what happened there.
You do?
No, not really.
The numbers don't. You can't see how I got to a number and it kind of just veered off to the right.
If he was actually 16 for 49 or 16 for 51, he would still be here.
He'd be the 4th batter in tonight's game.
Yeah. He'd be elbowing Jordan Luplow out of that cleanup hitter role.
He actually is 8 for 45, hitting 178.
Yeah, with 20 strikeouts and 45 at-bats. So,
but he hit a homer.
But he did hit a homer, and he had 4 RBIs. And I think he had like 5 doubles. I mean, when he hit the ball, he hit it hard occasionally. But he just looked overmatched against righties and lefties at times, especially with breaking stuff.
Yeah, no question about
it.
But they're not giving up on him.
No, this happens. I mean, and I don't know how temporary this is, depending on who gets injured and how they want to reconfigure their roster. But I think it would certainly help him to go back down there and try to find his swing again.
Did you watch the game last night against the Tigers?
Yeah.
Did you get the feeling that going into the 7th inning, they could have been down 6 runs and still win that game?
Yeah. I mean, what is their record now against the Tigers? Something like 8-1 or 9-1 or something like that. It's just not a very good team, and they have this procession now of these teams, of the Tigers, Kansas City, Toronto, Kansas City, leading all the way up to the trade deadline.
Right. All right. So, I don't want to say I feel sorry for this guy because he makes $33 million a year. But watching Miguel Cabrera, who might be one of the great hitters of our generation or era, looks totally lost, and he's still got, 4 more years on his contract?
Yeah.
Which is one of the, none of those long-term contracts, that kind of money ever works out.
No, they never seem to.
But did you get the sense that you felt bad for him last night, stalking around in the dugout?
Yeah, and I think he was a guy who was, back when they had trouble getting past beating the Tigers, he was the main reason why. And he was one of those guys that you kept saying, why would they ever even pitch to him, Yeah. And you could certainly see that in this lineup now that he's mired in, that nobody wants to throw him anything. Why would you?
No, you wouldn't.
Pitch around him.
I mean, they're bouncing the ball in the dirt on him and all. In fact, if he would ever get up with the bases loaded back a few years ago, walk the run in so you don't have the Grand Slam home run.
He'd look very good in this lineup.
Which one?
The Indians.
Oh, that Miguel Cabrera?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're not suggesting.
You think there's a price tag involved here that they're not willing to?
Yeah. Well, that's the other problem. These teams who sign these guys, they can never get rid of them when it's time to do that.
Look at, and part of it's because he hasn't been productive, but look at Jason Kipnis's contract and what a weight around the neck of the organization that is right now. I wonder if in part they made the Encarnacion move in trading him and getting rid of that contract because they were still stuck with a couple
they can't
of
get the other one.
the deals.
What do you think on Jose Ramirez? You think he's
I think
close?
he's really showing some good signs. I was at the game on Sunday when he hit the double down the right field line. His at-bats just look better. He looks like he's in better balance. I mean, he's still popping up occasionally, but, you know, I still think there's some hope that if he turns into three-quarters of the player that he was over the last couple of years, you know, it completely changes this lineup.
You know, you have the positioning in baseball now, where the shift and all that stuff. I have never seen anybody play, any right fielder play so far off the line as they did against him. He hit a double wasn't even in the corner, but he could run all day on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I still wonder about, you know, in a situation like the game on Sunday where Twins are down 4-3. I think they get a leadoff hitter on in the 8th or 9th.
Minnesota did?
Yeah, the 8th, because Hand had a good 9th except for the Kipnis error.
Right.
But in the 8th, they get a hitter, they get a runner on first base. They've got a lefty up. The shift is on, and the whole third base side is just completely open, and you need a run. I mean,
take it.
Can't you move the teams can't even be bothered to move the runner over in those situations?
It's hard to believe.
I mean, I'm not big on, like, I appreciate the designated hitter. I would like to see all of baseball go to the designated hitter. I know some people like that whole double switching and the hitter or the pitcher bunting and moving runners and all of that stuff. I'm not a purist in that way, but sometimes it just makes you scratch your head. If you were a hitter and you could use the bat just a little bit,
it's an easy hit.
They would never shift on you if you could.
Right, if you showed you could do it, you don't have to ever do it again.
Yeah, that's
really.
All
right, I had an opening comment, made a horrible error on that, although I recovered nicely, I thought.
Yeah.
But let's see if you can match me. You got an opening comment?
And maybe I'll make a horrible error in this one. I don't remember. Okay, here we go. There are two pertinent questions, as far as I can see, about the Indians as the trade deadline approaches. What will they do is one of them. What should they do? And I don't believe they're the same answer. I believe the Indians will keep the gang together and not sell off players important to their postseason chances. What I think they should do is look for ways to make this team better. Looking at the opponents they play from now until July 31st, there's reason to think they will chop a few more games at least off the Twins' lead. The Dolans cut payroll in the offseason, which should easily justify them spending now in midsummer. Paul Dolan said some version of, enjoy Francisco Lindor while you can. And I would say that enjoyment seems predicated on trying to win while Lindor is still in an Indians uniform. I suspect the Twins will be buyers as they look to secure a division championship. And the more I think about it, why wouldn't the Indians too?
Well, it's not their MO.
Well, okay. Well, let's make it.
So you want
MO.
to change the MO? I agree with
Listen,
that.
you're going to lose Trevor-Bauer probably within the next year. You're going to lose Lindor in the next year. So right now you're going to lose your best pitcher, if you believe he is. You may believe Bieber is at this point. Do you?
I believe Bauer's the best pitcher.
Okay. So I just think,
and
I'm not saying you should be taking on $20 million in salary and trading top prospects for a chance to win, but I'd still be looking at how can you bring another hitter into this lineup who's got some experience so that when you go into October, you're not counting on Mercado and
maybe Mercado
Freeman
by that time, but
and Bobby Bradley, not Bobby Brown, Bobby Bradley.
And Bowers.
Yeah,
and Luke Lowe.
That's all. You know. So we'll see how they handle it, but Minnesota still has, they're playing the Mets right now, but then I think they have Oakland. They've got some version of the Yankees twice between now and the 31st. They're going to lose some games.
Now the Indians will in the last month and a half, but based on the same thing.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that was left unsaid by you and me. You think about blowing it up or doing whatever you're going to do now, but it has repercussions on next year. Why can't you think that the reason you're behind Minnesota is because you had so many injuries, and if you take the same basic core next year, you should be better than the Minnesota Twins and anybody else in the division.
Yeah, I mean, I would be looking to add to this team right now.
For this year and next.
Yeah, especially while Lindor is here. I mean, we all know that in the end of next year or whenever it's going to be, that they're going to trade him because they're afraid of losing him for nothing.
They don't have a choice. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. What should the Indians do at the trade deadline? You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. We'll read some of your responses a little bit later when we get back. Coming up, we'll also explore some trade options for the Indians. You want to make up some potential trades?
Sure.
Let's do that when we get back. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today. I don't even know who the birthdays are. Any idea?
It's not mine.
Okay. I forgot.
I know of one anniversary this week.
Who? Yours?
No, it was the 25th anniversary of Albert Bell's bat being confiscated in Chicago on, I believe, yesterday was the 25th. And
Shoeless Joe Jackson was born in this state.
is that right?
Yeah, no shoes.
Well, all right.
Walter Johnson was
Is
born
that when
in
he
this
got
state.
the name at birth?
I'm not.
When he came out of the womb
who's that?
without shoes?
Barry Sanders. This is a good day already. Wow, what a day this is. Scott Free was born in this state in 1947.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard of him. Barry Sanders, one of the great talents to ever play in the National Football League, and a guy who left too early, in my estimation.
He left too early because of what?
He just
had enough of the game.
Retired.
Wanted to walk.
Probably
be
smart.
able to walk away.
Wanted to walk away.
Yeah.
And if you've ever gone to the Hall of Fame for any of those ceremonies in Canton, and you see those guys walk out in their gold jackets to sit down in these chairs, you understand why Barry Sanders got out.
The sitting down is not a problem.
Yeah,
the getting up part.
It's the walking and the getting up out of the chair that's the issue.
You know, they make a big deal about the brain and all that, which they should, but they don't tell you about all the knees and the hips and all that other stuff that some of these guys who were in as good a shape as you could be in at the time.
Well, I know Doug Deacon, who's an avid golfer and loves the game, and
right.
and his, it's golf's become a chore for him in some ways because of the arthritis in his hands,
right.
And that's all part of that hand-to-hand combat
you
that
see
those
some
guys
of
did for years.
You're showing a hand that at least the fingers are in the normal place. There's some of these guys that get the fingers going all over. It's like the old-time catchers, but.
Well, it's like, Rob Gronkowski. I heard a discussion on 92.3 coming here, which, about him being 30 years old and retiring, and how maybe this year he'll see that he misses it and come back,
Could very well be.
But those guys get beat up a lot. I could see why right after seasons guys are vulnerable to saying they're going to retire.
The dumbest idea ever is and they floated it out there, they can't be serious about playing 18 games with guys sitting out 2 games. Yeah. Could you imagine that? The Patriots trying to play a game without Tom Brady.
Yeah, and like they're making a mandatory cap of 16 games, and then who do you play? your backup against.
Right,
You know?
and then
and how early do you have to declare that?
right, and then you take your lineman out, and your poor quarterback gets the heck beat out of him.
Yeah.
You can catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday evenings. Post time 6 p.m. for that. It's open early every day for simulcast action in the weekly Sunday contest. Top prize $500 in cash each week. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Colin Cowherd is at it again, but I don't know if you've heard about that. He's picked his enemy.
I didn't quite understand. It was if that was supposed to be a slam, I think it felt like a pretty okay thing for most Browns fans. You mean we're going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, right. They're gonna,
and then lose? Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Wow, what a terrible thing.
It's not like they're going to get goof up in week 14 and lose and not get into the playoffs. This is, you're in the playoffs, then it's going to blow up.
I heard Keyshawn Johnson also on 92.3 today say that he thinks that when somebody asked him how many games will they win, he said, I could see where they'd win 6 or 7 games. Now that's a slam.
That is a slam.
You know, and he said, "Hey, I could be wrong. I'm just saying."
Is he saying? Coach. Is he saying it'll be really good that they can win 6 or 7 games?
No, he was saying, "I'm not on the same bandwagon that everybody else is."
Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Bud Shaw is with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
But I'm going to guess that 6 months ago, very few people in Cleveland knew that Colin Cowherd had a daily radio show nationally.
Yeah,
right?
I happen to think he's very good at
what
he
does. And what he's done here with the Cleveland Browns is he's picked them out, knowing how Cleveland fans respond to negativity.
Knowing how some Cleveland players have responded.
Players.
Yeah.
And again, many people had no idea who he was. Now they're upset about what he's saying. And basically what he said, and Bud touched on it before we broke away, and that is that he predicted that this team is young and inexperienced and it's going to blow itself up in the playoffs. Well, as Bud suggested, get us to the playoffs.
No,
and
not that.
We always do that. You know, when you figure the last time they were in the playoffs, it's hard to say how history is doing.
You know, it's not really going out on a limb, is it, to say that a young team that makes the playoffs for the first time might not go as far as they would once they get some more experience. So if they make it to the playoffs with a rookie head coach, with 2 new coordinators, with a lot of new players on offense, several new players on defense, it'll be a real feather in their cap regardless of what happens once they get there.
And the reality of that is, hopefully not too many Browns fans are going to be disappointed if they don't win the Super Bowl, because that doesn't seem to be in the plans here in the first year of John Dorsey.
And I would
first
say
year
this.
of Freddie-Kitchens.
I go back and look at those first 8 games. They're pretty challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a very good chance. I would just caution that if people think they're going to be 6-2 halfway through the season, it's probably not going to happen that way.
You mean based on the schedule?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Sunday night game, Monday night game.
But they're not an
Patriots.
They're not an automatic loss though in the schedule game.
No, not at all. But you got the Patriots, you got Seattle, you got to go to Denver, you have at San Francisco. In the second half of the season is when you get the Bengals 2 out of 3 games. Arizona is in that mix. Baltimore at home.
And you should be better by that time.
Yeah, and you would think, and barring any injuries to real players they're counting on.
The other thing is, if it bothers you that Colin Cowherd has said whatever he said, you've fallen into his trap. He set the trap and you've been baited.
Yeah, and let's face it, Odell-Beckham and Baker-Mayfield to a larger extent have allowed themselves to be baited because they're keeping alive the whole conversation by responding to Cowherd when all it is somebody's opinion on a radio show.
Right, and you're into the Twitter and all that stuff. My guess is those guys haven't actually heard the actual broadcast. They're hearing bits and pieces from other people.
Yeah, it's
about
like back in the day when you would walk into an Indians locker room after writing something, and the guy who you wrote about is so angry at you, and he never even read it. He never read what you wrote, and he'll admit that somebody just told him, "Oh, hey, boy, that guy took you apart today."
I've told this story before, and today, as we head toward the year 2020, it's a little bit different. But back in the Bill Belichick day here in Cleveland for 5 years, 91 to 95, he had the media had pictures of themselves and their affiliation and all that. Now that's done for identification purposes, but in those days, Belichick wanted the players to know who they were talking to and what was said by who, and exactly what you're saying. If you didn't hear it from them, or if you didn't directly read it or hear it on the radio or television, start from the beginning.
Yeah, it only makes sense. So I'm not surprised by any of this. I was a little surprised that Baker Mayfield allowed himself to get, I don't want to say embroiled, but to get into that whole Cowherd thing. And he showed it again, I think, with the Duke Johnson thing in minicamp, where he felt the need to comment on some guy's trade requests.
Yeah, but didn't he think that's what a leader does?
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe the leader takes the guy aside privately and says, "Hey, we need you on this train.
Right.
Are you going to be on this train or not?" I don't know that he needed to do it publicly, because then it just becomes, now they're both coming back for regular camp, and that'll be one of the things that everybody's asking and watching about.
Sure.
What's Baker going to say now? And is Duke Johnson still want to be traded?
But Baker's on his honeymoon here.
Yes.
When does he have time to call out Colin Cowherd?
Well, he hasn't done that in the last few weeks. Yeah, I don't know that he's responded this time. If he responded this time, then the first person he should hear from is his new wife.
Right.
Saying, we're in the French Riviera. What are you tweeting about Colin Cowherd for?
Exactly. 216-575-0403. We are also the voicemail of Truth and Reason. You can give us a call and any time of the day or night if you can't get in on the show. And you can call us at 200, I'm doing it, 200-665-0. 216-665. Forget about it. I'll write it down and I'll get it back to you in a minute. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. We'll take a look at the top 100 players as ranked by CBS Sports and how many Cleveland Browns are mentioned in there. And we'll do that when we get back. More Sports and Les-levine continues in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les-Levine with Bud Shaw tonight. Tomorrow night, Anthony Lima from 92.3 The Fan will join us, and the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, will be here on Thursday. That number for the voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650, and you can call us up anytime and leave us a message. Try not to make it War and Peace or Peace and War, but get your point across at the voicemail of Truth and Reason. All right, we talked about the top 100 players in the NFL as written and suggested by CBSSports.com. In the top 10, I'm going to start with number 10. Do you have any objection to this? Drew Brees of the Saints is number 10?
No, he's a top 10 guy. He's still a tremendous quarterback.
Bobby Wagner of the Seahawks, linebacker, number 9.
Okay.
All right, yeah, that's a good
without
response.
knowing what other linebackers are rated ahead of him.
Yeah, right. Number 8 is quarterback Russell Wilson of the Seahawks.
That one's interesting to me. I know there are some people who are really big proponents of him, and others that think he's an above-average quarterback. I think he's better than above average, but I don't know that I have him in a top 10.
How about number 7, Deandre Hopkins, the wide receiver from Texas?
Great player, and I'd be surprised if he weren't the number, even though I know Odell-Beckham is a big name in this league and a very talented guy. I'd be surprised if DeAndre Hopkins wasn't the first.
Number 6, Aaron Rodgers.
I just think he's a phenomenal player. I know they haven't done well lately, but I don't have a problem with that.
They haven't given him that much. Number 5 is defensive end Von Miller of the Broncos. Number 4, quarterback Tom Brady. Number 3, Khalil Mack. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes.
Wow.
And number 1, defensive tackle Aaron Donald.
The Aaron Donald one to me is obvious, but I'm really surprised that they've elevated Mahomes. And I'd love to know where does a guy like Ben Roethlisberger and Andrew Luck, I would imagine those guys would be in the teens, and if they are, then I don't have any problem with the list. But I noticed that you didn't mention any Browns.
No, I didn't, but I'm about to. I'm going to mention number 14, wide receiver Odell Beckham of the Cleveland Browns. This is the top 100 players in the NFL according to CBSSports.com. So number 14 is Odell Beckham. Number 28 is defensive end Myles-Garrett.
That seems low to me.
It does also.
Underscored.
Yeah, he should be higher. All right, how about number 59, Baker-Mayfield?
I think he also should be higher.
Yeah, of course we'd have to see.
I know he hasn't done much, and you could probably say the same of Garrett, but I just know based on what I saw last year, I thought he was the most accurate thrower as a rookie that I saw in the league. And
all right, let's just give some names that you are familiar with and see where they've got. Number 13 is Michael Thomas of the Saints. Travis Kelce is Michael Thomas, number 13. Travis Kelce of Cleveland Heights, number 19. Saquon Barkley, 21. Ezekiel Elliott, 24. Antonio Brown, 39. Joey Bosa, 46. Mitchell Schwartz, the former Browns lineman, at the number 69 position, and Todd Gurley at number 82.
I guess now that you've read that that partial list that you have, I guess I'm real surprised that if I told you that there would be 2 wide receivers ranked ahead of Odell Beckham Jr.,
I wouldn't think that's correct.
But I think you could make the case for both of those guys, Hopkins and Thomas.
I can make a case that there's no lunch place better than Sokolowski's University.
Absolutely, they're number 1 on that list.
They're not tied with anybody. They are number 1, not only in Cleveland but anywhere else, according to the James Beard Foundation. Named them one of the top 3 restaurants in the country a couple of years ago. Only 5 get it each and every year. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn, one of the great restaurants in the country, oldest family-owned and operated business or restaurant anywhere in northeastern Ohio. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. When we come back, we'll have the Facebook question of the day and more with Bud Shaw. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature's Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
But we asked our Facebook listeners, or people who use Facebook, to follow us. We asked them the question of the day. That is, which injured Indian player would help most when they return? What would you say?
Trying to think of their main injuries right now.
Well, Kluber is
other
one.
than the pitching staff. I would probably have to say Corey Kluber, because I still think they would rather not pitch Pucko and a couple of these guys when they get down to September.
All right, let's see what the viewers had to say. Lawrence C. Butler says Kluber, but again, what are you supposed to say? Oh, he's
that
brilliant.
guy is brilliant.
You usually say, but what does he know?
Only because I know him.
Rick May says Kluber would help the most, strengthening the rotation and possibly taking some pressure off the bullpen. And Wayne Richard Lyon says Kluber of a few years ago would really help. And Gerald Morelli, no brainer, Dan Otero. LOL.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question, Les. Is it you know, we assume when we say Kluber that we're talking about the guy who was a two-time Cy Young winner.
Yeah.
He was not that. He was not that this year. He was not
No.
even close to that. So what is he going to have when he gets back?
You know, I was disappointed by the Indians, the way they played over the weekend, and what I thought was a must-win series. I wanted them to sweep, but I would have been okay with 2 out of 3. And you could see they'd be 4 games out instead of 6. But that doesn't mean they can't make up for it here in the next week or two, because I think I said they'd win 14 of 17 in that one stretch. And they could still, why not pound Detroit and pound Kansas City?
Yeah, and you know, Kansas City is a team, not that they had a lot of talent to begin with, but they're starting to sell off players.
Right. All right. Ron went ahead and joined us on Facebook at a voicemail, rather, the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Let's listen in on what Ron had to say.
Hey, Les, this is Ron Byer. Hey, Les and Bud. We are from the generation that had passion for one city's professional teams. We listened on the radio, watched on TV, or went to the games. We stuck with the team through good or bad. The younger generation is player first, love for team second, and will jump from team to team. Stadiums are now gearing to millennials who mostly go to the game to socialize. And oh, by the way, there's a game going on down on the field or court. So my question is, do you think with the decline of our generation creating the decline in love and passion for local teams, except for the few dream teams, will professional sports as we know it now no longer exist?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, I was on with Ken Carman last week for 92.3, and he had made the point that he's looking at houses, and they go into these houses in Northeast Ohio, and the little boy's room isn't a shrine to the Cleveland teams.
Right.
It's Kyrie Irving in a Celtics jersey. It's Steph Curry. It's whoever. And I half jokingly said, I think we need a bigger sample size here, Ken, than your home tour. I do understand what he's saying, but I still think having been down to the convention center at Play Ball Park for 3 days, there's still so much civic pride in cities, and it's not just Cleveland. So.
No question about that. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. They've got it, and they've got it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday evening with a post time of 6 p.m. And you can catch the excitement with simulcast action all day long, opening at noon. Weekly Sunday contest. Top prize $500 cash each week. It's free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. But Shaw and I return one more time exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
But I've got a couple of observations about emails that we get at the end of that we use at the end of the show. First of all, Raymond Pierce, it's okay, but you know I can't possibly use it, so don't try to sneak it by our censors. Do we have censors?
No.
Me and you. We decided
we're pretty
not
much
to do
the
it.
censors, and we're only paying half attention.
Well, yeah, but I'm paying to full attention that I like doing this show and more sports and Les-Levine as an entity.
Yeah.
So, you know, Raymond, if you're upset about that.
This show is an entity now?
It is an entity.
Huh.
Here's the observation. Number one, Mr. Gullible is on the outside making his move to try, in Northfield Park terms, to try to overcome John Patrick. John is weakening in the stretch. John is down to one quickie per night.
Wow.
He bombarded us with 2 each night.
Maybe because I told him I didn't like puns.
That, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So let's go to Mr. Gullible, who came in with 2.
I also hate cliches. Go ahead.
It is what it is. All right, so Mr. Gullible comes in with 2. He says, how come I married an archaeologist so the older I get, the more interested in she is in me?
I like it.
Okay, that's...
I do. I like it.
How about this one? How come I tried to give my mother-in-law a nasty look, but she already had one?
You know, the mother-in-law joke is kind of...
It's 50-ish.
Yeah, it really does. It feels like Joey Bishop to me.
Do you know he's on my favorite station?
Is that right?
I never knew he had a sitcom. He's on 988 on my cable system, and it's the Joey Bishop Show with Corbin Monica. Remember that name?
Oh, my God, yeah. Talk about archaeologists.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so here's John Patrick. How come a big problem is that nobody wants to take responsibility for anything? But don't quote me on that.
See,
it's good.
That's my favorite kind of quickie. It's that little twist at the end.
Yeah, he put more into it. He had more time, knowing he only had 1 to do.
Yes.
All right, we are done. Great job by you. Great job by our crew in the back who had some problems trying to overcome, and they did a great job. They are the best. 9.8 for John Patrick.
He's getting close.
Excellent. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll have Anthony Lima, 92.3 The Fan will be here, and then the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, will regale us on Thursday night.
When has he ever regaled anybody?
He regales me. If we come on the air at 6, up until 5:59, I'm being regaled by the D-Man. That'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.